Nathan Denton, welcome to Truckin On.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to be here.
I was saying earlier, like, you make dressing up look comfortable.
I try.
Sometimes
it's not.
Few people pull that off, though, but you're a very well-dressed individual. You're kind of known for that in our world of industrial real estate, I would say.
It's taken a few years, but yeah, I really enjoy it. I grew up, my mom always dressed me up really nice, and I rolled with it.
Yeah.
And I feel better when I dress up.
I have problems with this. Like, you might need to coach me through this. My mom dressed me up, but I didn't like it.
No. Okay.
You know, and my parents were very, I felt like they're both from like smaller towns and, grew up without having a lot of money. And then my dad got into commercial real estate. He made money. So there was kind of like this new money vibe and wanting to fit in and wanting to dress their child up to fit in with the other children.
Sure.
And I think I just like never felt, I think I had ancestral wounds that go too far back to like want to fit in. So it always drove me crazy. And then I drove them crazy in turn because I was like getting my ear pierced in middle school and then tattoos and playing in the band and just doing all of these like rebellious things. But they're like, I'm impressed. I'm like, I wish I'd like had this passion for dressing up, but I wear sweatpants and a black t-shirt every day.
It's your deal. I love it.
I know. Yeah, I do enjoy it. So, but I'm impressed and like always like,
well, thank you.
What kind of shoes are those?
These are Ferragamos. They're tennis shoes that are super comfortable. This was a splurge.
Yeah.
They were a splurge.
I like them. You can pull them off.
You can wear them with jeans. You can wear them with a suit. So I wear them all the time.
I notice like Gray Bill tries to keep up with you a little bit. Like he'll wear some nice custom-made suits, but I don't think he can pull off the Ferragamos.
He can't. Here's the problem with Mark Grable, a.k.a. Claw.
Yeah.
Claw will take one step forward with looking appropriate, looking nice, sharp suit, and then he'll take two steps back because he'll get something out of the back of his closet that he probably shouldn't be wearing. So he's trending in the right direction, but then he kind of...
I see it's kind of like bipolar disorder. Like I think he might have some of me in him and then some of you in him, and he just like jumps back and forth. Yes. He can't make up his mind. Yes. I can totally see that.
He's either in a custom designer suit or flip-flops and jean shorts.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
That is so funny. He's my only other Lee and Associates Truckin On guest.
That's right.
So you're my second. I'm friends with so many of you guys, and I want to get all of you on eventually. Awesome. And that's how we met, of course. I remember meeting you right when I started at Robert Lynn, working for Jeff Mercer at a broker event.
Yep.
And
that was early 2000s, right?
Mid.
Okay.
I started in 2006.
Okay.
So we met there, and just I've been doing industrial real estate in Dallas ever since. Almost 20 years for me. Next year's 20 years.
Nice.
Yeah. When did you start? So
I got in the business March of 2000. Started with Henry S. Miller, and then I interviewed with Henry S. Miller. I knew I wanted to get in commercial real estate, but I didn't know what that looked like. I know I wanted to be on the sales side of it, and they said, "Well, what would you like to do?" And I said, what is there to do? And they said, well, there's retail, there's industrial, there's office. And then he kind of explained what each of them were. And I said, well, retail sounds great. And he's like, well, we have an open in industrial and office. And I said, I guess I'll be doing industrial and office. And that's how I landed industrial.
Yeah. Going back in time, what happened at ages 12 to 22?
Yeah. So even before that, I am a 7th generation Texan on both mom and dad's side.
Okay.
So my dad's side of the family is from Rio Vista. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's 45 miles south of Fort Worth.
Yeah, so it's like by Cleburne.
It's 10 miles south of Cleburne.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then my mom's side of the family settled a town called Snyder, Texas, which is in West Texas.
I know where that is.
And both...
It's like quail hunting country out there.
It is.
Or it used to be at least.
Yep. And those were both... my dad's side was 1850s and my mom's side was 1850s. So they met in West Texas at Texas Tech, and then they came back to Dallas and had my sister and I. And so I grew up in Dallas my entire life. Grew up in North Dallas. The age of 12, I was, that was 1988. We lived in Bentry North, so Frankfort and the Tollway.
Yeah.
North of Frankfort was nothing. Frankfort was a dirt road.
Yeah.
It was Plano School District, so it was Collin County. So I went to Plano High School. But yeah, it's obviously grown a lot since then.
So when did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 1995.
Okay. I'm 96.
Okay.
So we're the same age basically. And what did you do in Plano?
Yeah.
Did you play sports?
So I did. I was a sports nut. I wasn't really great at any of them, but I played a lot of them. I played basketball. I played football. I ran track. And then when I got to high school, so call it 9th, 10th grade time frame, I just focused on football.
Yeah. What'd you play?
I played cornerback my junior year and receiver my senior year. But
Plano was good.
Yeah, we went to state both junior and senior year. We lost to Converse Judson our junior year. And then our senior year, we won state against Katy.
Wow, that's cool.
It was a neat experience. Being a receiver at Plano at the time really was just an extra blocker because it was option right, option left, veer, dive. Option left, option right, veer, dive. We might have thrown.
You just ran over people.
You were told just to go out there and chop the cornerback. That's it. Because if the play came to your side, that they wanted the cornerback on the ground. That's all we did.
I didn't realize that you had that experience. I mean, that's like 5A state championship Texas football.
It was great.
Senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you remember? It's probably the craziest high school game ever played. It was Plano East when they were down by 28 points with 3 minutes left to go, and they scored a touchdown, did 3 onside kicks. They went up, a couple points with 7 seconds left to go. The crowd was going crazy. This was in the old Texas Stadium, and then they kicked off to Tyler John Tyler, and they ran it all the way back for a touchdown. It's the craziest high school game in the history.
I don't remember exactly, but I feel like I kind of remember.
If you Google the craziest high school Texas football game.
Did that happen when we were in high school?
That happened. So when I think we beat Lufkin on that same field, and as we were walking off, Plano East was walking on to play the next game, and that was that game.
Yeah.
So the reason why I tell you that story, it was just a crazy playoff season because of that game and a couple of the games that we had. But yeah, it was nuts. It was a great experience, and we lost the final 2 games to Lake Highlands and Plano East in district. But we limped in the playoffs, and then we just got on a hot streak, and we just Mesquite, Lufkin, a couple others, and then we ended up beating Odessa in Permian. We beat it at Permian in Odessa, 10-0, and then we went and played Katy down at College Station for the state championship.
How was that game? Was it?
It was great. It was 28-7. We just you won.
We solidly.
Won, and we only had 1 or 2 guys that even went and played college football. Nobody was a great. I mean, there was 1 or 2 really good athletes, but nobody was great. And we had a lot of good athletes come together, and I think
good coaching.
That's right, discipline, coaching, and we just got on a hot streak, and then just kept winning.
I went 0-10 senior year.
I remember that. I've heard that story.
yeah. At Woodrow on the other side of the tracks.
Yes.
And I was watching. I made it on the cover of the Dallas Morning News sports page. And it's like Ward Richmond stands up, Garland Naaman Forest defensive linemen as the Wildcats lose 57-0. It's like the one time I made it on the cover of the paper.
Do you still have it?
I do somewhere. I used to like hang it on the wall because I thought it was so cool. And then when I like grew older, I was like, that's not cool. Maybe it's supposed to be the opposite way that works, but I don't know. It's just like, I guess it's cool because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I was very proud to be on the cover at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it is what it is. But yeah, that had to have been great.
It was a good experience.
Did you ever consider playing in college?
No, and I wasn't even that great. I was okay at best. I mean, I played. I actually started the first few games, and then Coach and I might have gotten a little dispute over an event that I had after a football game. So I still played a little bit, but I didn't.
It's the early stages of DJ Indie House.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I can see that. you threw some after football game parties?
I did. If there was anything that I can put a stamp on in college, it was throwing really good field parties.
Yeah. And where did you go to college?
I went to Texas Tech.
Okay.
So I went from Texas Tech. I was there from 95 to 99.
So many great commercial real estate people go to Texas Tech.
There's a lot of us.
I just spoke there to the real estate club.
Oh, you did?
With Philip Lane.
Yeah.
He brought me out there. And, but yeah, like obviously like Jeremy Mercer, you, Philip, I mean, I can't think, Summit Hogue, Brant Landry,
yep.
All of these people.
Yeah.
There's something in the water out there.
It's interesting. Tech, there's the old motto of, get your grades up or get your guns up. And so people go out there and we kind of have chips on our shoulders.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't go to A&M, you didn't go to UT, you didn't go to, whatever the case may be. And the thing about Lubbock is it's not the prettiest city. It's really not. I think the campus is pretty, but I think the city is just not very attractive. It's the people. The people are phenomenal. It's West Texas, nice people, and the people make the school. And a lot of those people that come out that are successful, we kind of have chips on our shoulders. Like we're treated like the redheaded stepchild. Oh, you went to Tech. Oh, did you not have good grades in high school? Oh, why did you go to Tech? And I think after hearing that for so much, you kind of have a chip on your shoulder and you want to get out there and prove to people that, hey, Tech's a great school. And we're doing a lot of good, the school's doing a lot of good things right now. And a lot of good people come out of Texas Tech.
Yeah. Conrad Mattson. There you go.
Yeah.
Did you know him when you were there? Did you know Brant and Conrad?
So
and all
Brant
of them?
and I, Brant and I did know each other. So Brant was a year younger than I was. So Brant and I kind of ran around in the same circles. I did not know Conrad at all. I did not meet Conrad until he was working with Trey Fricky over at NAI. Yeah. And then we obviously started Lee together. And then we were real close at that point. But I didn't know Conrad before that at Texas Tech.
Yeah. So at Tech, you threw some parties?
I did. I was social chairman.
In a fraternity?
I was a Phi Delta, yeah.
Okay.
I just, since I was in middle school, I loved being around people. People energize me. I can go to a party and be extremely tired and not care to maybe interact with people, but as soon as I walk through that front door to a party, people just give me energy. I love hearing about people's stories. I love talking to people. It amps me up. And I've been that way since I was a little kid. I'd get off the school bus and ask all the kids, hey, let's go play football or let's go play something. Yeah. And then high school, hey, let's go have a party. Hey, whose house or whose field or whatever. And then college, the same thing. I love being around people. Like, I don't know. It's how I'm wired. My wife is not that way. She can be extremely amped up going to a party, and she's very social and very interactive, but it wears her down. Yeah. Or it fuels.
You're
me.
Like straight up extrovert.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I've found that I used to be that way, but I don't feel like I am now. Yeah. And I question, is it because I'm older, or is it because like when I drank, was I an extrovert? Or was it just like I was so extremely extroverted for the first half of my life that I just got tired of being an extrovert? Yeah. Like I don't know what it is, but for sure, today I'm way more of a recluse.
Okay.
And it de-energizes me to go to big parties or events. Like I've got to I don't know. It's weird because it used to not be that way.
Yeah.
Like I used to be more, I don't think I was ever like full blown like you are, but it's interesting to think about. And I think like doing commercial real estate, being an absolute extrovert, like
it helps.
It's a great business to be in.
It's interesting you say that, because when I graduated college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I liked people, so I knew I wanted to be in sales. But other than that, I had no idea. So I interviewed with 4 or 5 different companies and got on board with Benny Keith Foods in their food sales side. And within 3 weeks, I quickly realized that's probably not the career path that I wanted to take, just for various reasons. And so someone said, you'd be really good at commercial real estate. So I interviewed and got on board with Henry S. Miller, like I told you, and I loved it. The problem was, until you make that first deal, it's really tough to get that confidence behind you. And I made $600 my first year, and I'm grinding. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this or not. And then things started hitting and popping in second year, it was great. And then it kind of took off from there. But yeah, that $600.
That was a tough first year.
Grind.
Dude.
It was a grind. Now there was a few deals that I had that just fell apart at the finish line. But yeah, it was tough.
You saw the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
At least. Like, okay, I know I can get there.
Because you look at people in our industry and you're like, well, if that guy can do it, I can do it. If that girl can do it, I can do it. And I'm doing at least my mentors are telling me I'm doing the right thing.
I expect you guys do this because you own the company. And it was something that I loved about Robert Lynn is they shared everyone's production in sales meetings. So you knew what everyone was producing. And that really, starting out that way, like seeing that, like, oh, these guys are making these commissions every month. Like, this is doable. Like, this is possible. I can see that. And I had Jeff Mercer on yesterday, actually.
Oh, nice.
My first boss. So we were kind of talking about this, and I made $35,000 my first year. So
that's a lot.
It was a shitload.
Yes.
And I had been playing in my band for 4 years before that, making $15,000 a year. So, I mean, I made 35 grand, like, whoa, this is so much money. And I like kind of stopped working. This is so rich. We were talking about like, he made making like a $15,000 fee back then. I was like, I'm going to Vegas,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just such a different world and so funny. So you're at Henry S. Miller for how long and you went straight from there to do Lee?
I did, yeah. So I was there for almost 6 years. So I started in March of 2000, and then I left December of 2005. So Lee was kind of started by a guy by the name of Stein Cobb. Well, he started our Texas office, our Dallas office, and he's still is out of our Arizona office, out of Phoenix. He came in and was recruiting guys, and I believe it was Ken Wesson who planted the flag and said, hey, I'm all in on this Lean Associates, whether it's me by myself in a executive suite or 20 other guys. I can't come over, or I can't start the company for 6-9 months, whatever the case was. But here's a list of 30 guys you need to go call on.
What was Ken doing?
He was at Bradford.
Okay.
And he always kind of wanted to do his own deal, and the Lee opportunity presented itself, and he was like, man, this is right in my wheelhouse. This is what I want to do. And so obviously I was on that list with several others. Make a long story short, Trey, I don't know if he was on that list, but Trey was familiar with Lee. So Trey was with NAI, Stoneleigh, Huff, Browse, McDowell at the time. And they just sold to Transwestern. And Trey did not want to go to Transwestern. That just wasn't his flavor. So he was looking around. He knew about the Lee and Associates. And so him and Ken so Trey was probably the second guy, first with Ken, second guy on total, planting the flag. So they were going to open the Lee office. And then I found out about Lee, and so the model for me, it's perfect for me. So I was on board, and then Greg Nelson, Adam Graham worked for Ken at the time over at Bradford.
Okay.
And so when Ken left, they followed him, and then Mark Grable and Conrad worked for Trey at the time as well, or worked for Trey, and then so 3 guys from Bradford, 3 guys from AI, and then myself. So the 7 of us were there January 1, day 1 of 2006.
Yeah. That's awesome. I can't imagine Trey ever working for any other company besides one that he was like the owner of. So
we worked together at Henry S. Miller.
Okay.
So he started with Miller in 1998, 1999, and I came on board obviously in 2000. So we worked together for about a year or 2, and then he got recruited to go be a partner at NAI. So he had some ownership, obviously, and then when they sold, he was like, I just don't want to be a part of something that's corporate. I want to kind of do my own thing. And
yeah.
So for him, the Lee model was a good model as well.
Yeah, that's cool. And most of you guys are still there. So that's like a 20-year run there.
Yeah,
that's right.
It'll be 25 years. Yeah, at the end of this year.
That's nuts. So you're like the Lee model worked perfect for me. What would you say that is?
Yeah, great question. So, most real estate brokers are entrepreneurial guys. And then you kind of take the next level of, we don't like authority. We don't like to be told what to do. We want to do what we want to do when we want to do it. We want to, our focus is brokerage, but what do we do when we're out on the streets? Well, we stumble across deals. I want to be able to buy in on deals, put deals together on the ownership side. And that's what Lee offered. And Lee, you get a bunch of like-minded entrepreneurial brokers that all work together. You share all the expenses, you share all the profits based on production. So it's a fair way of running a brokerage company. And there's no bureaucracy. You've got 2 hats. You've got your ownership partner hat, and then you've got, you take that off and then you put your broker hat on. Well, the broker, they always want a huge expense account. They want all the bells and whistles. And you take that hat off and you put your ownership hat on. Well, you don't want to give any expense accounts. So it polices itself. And so for me, the model was just, wow, I don't have to go start my own deal. It's already branded. You've got a national platform. At the time, we were the 29th office that opened. Now there's 75 offices. So you can go pitch a Fortune 500 company to the small mom and pops and everything in between.
Is it industrial only?
So on a national level, it's about 70% industrial.
Okay.
20%, I might be off a little bit, but 20% office, 5% retail, and the other 5%, 10% other.
Yeah. But mainly industrial.
Mainly industrial.
Yeah.
We're trying, on a national basis, we're really trying to recruit some big office teams, we've got some multifamily teams on the West Coast. Retail teams. Our retail is actually probably growing the fastest this time.
Yeah. Cool. So, then that's like your real estate career. Where'd you meet your wife?
Blind date, New Year's Eve in 99. Y2K. If you remember that.
I do.
Night.
I had a field party that
Did
I
you?
hosted.
Yes.
Yeah, my parents had a ranch, and I had all my high school friends and then all my college friends congregated at the Truckin On ranch for Y2K.
Nice.
And it was a big ass field party.
Nice.
So fun. Yeah. We call it Ward 2K. So blind date, Y2K.
Blind date.
Where'd y'all go?
We went to, it was the DoubleTree at the time, but I think it's the Hilton now, right there at Lincoln Center.
Yeah.
635 in Tollway.
That was like a happening spot back
It
in
was
1999.
yeah, you tell people that now and they're like, you did what? I'm like, those hotel parties back in the day were pretty cool.
I remember that. They still sound cool to me.
Yes.
Like a 1999 hotel party.
Yes.
Like they were great. There should be more of them now.
Yeah, you don't hear about them. Maybe there are, and we just don't hear about them. But yeah, they were the popular thing back then.
Yeah, that's cool. Then y'all got married. How many kids?
So we got 2 girls. We got married in September 2002. Had our first child in 2005, and then 2007. So I've got a freshman at college at Arkansas, and then a junior in high school.
Yeah. And then, so this led to you becoming a DJ, being a dad.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah.
I love this story. And I love music. So I think it's just such an important thing in the world. And then like to go figure out how to like harness the music and bring it to the people is so cool.
I totally agree. I have zero musical talent. I've tried the piano. I've tried the guitar. I'm terrible. So I just kind of gave it up, but I really enjoy music. Look, I'm 48 and I still like to go to the clubs in Vegas. That's just, again, being around a lot of people, the energy. I really enjoy it.
Do you like go get a table in Vegas?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Who's like Skrillex or Marshmello or any of these? Like who's like your go-to?
Chainsmokers. I mean, they're pretty easy. Kygo. I mean, kind of the big names. Skrillex might be a little too heavy for me.
Yeah.
But more of the mainstream DJs.
Yeah.
But I was always enamored by it. I thought that's so cool, but I'm mid-40s. I'm past that. But so a good friend of mine, who's a high-profile doctor in the Dallas area, his wife got him some DJ classes for Christmas. And we were having a cocktail, and I was like, boy, that sounds like a lot of fun. But I don't really have any musical talent. He said, he goes, you can carry a beat. I said, yeah, I can probably carry a beat. And he said, okay, here's my teacher, just call him up. So I came home and I said, girls, I've got a plan. We're going to go to DJ school. And they looked at me like, what is wrong with you, Dad?
Like, we're not going to DJ school with you.
That sounds horrible. And my girls are into music too. So I thought they'd really be open to the idea. And I said, we're going to just go one time. So my youngest, who maybe is not into the music scene as much as my oldest, she lasted one lesson. She's like, I'm out. Okay. My oldest lasted 3 lessons. She's like, I'm out. And what I was telling them, I said, girls, it's a party trick. Okay, so just learn the basic skills. You can make a ton of money doing this. You're going to go off to college. You can make $300, $500, $1,000 a gig. I'll buy all the equipment. I'll buy all the music. Like, this is a no-brainer. No, Dad, no, we don't want to do it. Oh, okay, fine. Well, I really enjoyed it. So I continued on.
Do you find like if you have an idea for your children that they're just going to say no to it because it's your idea?
Yes.
I'm trying to learn that. My daughter is about to be 11. So I'm trying to figure out the art of letting her think that she thought of the idea herself without me saying it. So that's something I'm trying to figure out.
Well, you're about to enter that teenage girl stage, which is terrible.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Their hormones, they're mean to their friends, they're mean to their parents. It's rough.
I knew.
And I've got good girls. They're just,
yeah. I knew like right when we found out like we're having a girl, it's like, that means I'm going to have to raise a teenage girl who's going to have to go through the teenage girl hell.
Yes.
That exists for all teenage girls. Like you just know that growing up.
It's
like,
brutal.
I felt bad for them when I was growing up. Like, damn, they're just mean to each other. They're crying all the time.
It's brutal.
So Godspeed.
But leading my daughter, because my oldest daughter, I think would be a fantastic real estate broker. That's her personality.
That's how I feel about Betty too. Yeah.
She could care less about being a real estate broker until she got to college. And then she realized all the perks in her life that she's got because of what I've done over the years. And now she's starting to realize, okay, yeah, maybe I could do real estate. Yeah. So getting her an internship, maybe a couple times while she's in college, I think she'd be great at it. She was a big theater major, theater choir, and she's really good at it. And so she was considering going off to college and being in the theater arts program, which being a white girl that's blonde is a really difficult thing to do.
Is it?
Very much so.
There's
like thousands of girls that want to do that.
Yeah.
If you're unique, you have red hair, or you're Hispanic, or you're black, like you've got a lot greater opportunity because there's just not as many kids going to those programs. So I said, Kate, you can do whatever, but I'm telling you, I know what you want your lifestyle to be when you get older, and I know you're very conservative, I think you ought to just go down the path of a normal college path. And then after college, if you want to go in the theater art, great, go for it. But get some business tools at college, and then you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And now that she's in college and, doing the sorority, the normal college schedule, she's starting to come around of, I think real estate's pretty interesting.
Yeah. My dad did real estate. He wasn't a broker really. He was a developer and an owner, but he never did a good job of explaining it to me. I didn't really understand what he did.
Yeah.
I was he does real estate. I didn't really know what my dad did till I started doing real estate,
okay.
And interning in college.
Sure.
And that, okay, I kind of get it now. But we really do have such a cool job. And my college friends don't understand what I do for a living. And trying to explain it to them, I know they're notice what my schedule looks like, and it's pretty cool because, and I talked to Jeff about this yesterday. You can come up with your own way of doing things, right? Jeff's way is totally different than my way. We've only worked together for a year because of that, but I've just have figured out my way to work that works well for me, and that's the beauty of it. How many jobs can you go get where you can just make up your own schedule and come up with your own business plan and go execute it, and just basically, and you can go work for a publicly traded company like Collier's or something too, and they still let me do whatever I want to do. Sure. Really. As long as you're being ethical, not breaking laws, and making money,
that's right.
You can pretty much do. I just do this podcast all the time now, so it's kind of my job.
It's great. And my dad growing up, he was on the appraisal side, and so he appraised buildings. That's what he did. That I have zero interest in that. It's too analytical. So I didn't really know about commercial real estate, kind of like you were saying. It wasn't explained to me. And I think that maybe our parents' generation was, well, go get a job. I don't care what you get. Go sack groceries. Go be a waiter. Go be a whatever, I did. Now, I wish my dad would have said, hey, why don't you go get an internship with a law firm, a real estate firm, to kind of open my eyes up a little bit more, which is what I'm planning on doing with my kids of, hey, whether or not you want to do this or not, I think it'll open your eyes up to the business world, because you're exactly right. What does a commercial real estate broker do? And you explain it to people, and most of the time it goes right over their head. What I've started doing is just dumbing it down. If you're at a restaurant, you say, okay, how did this fork get to this table? Let's just go through the path of that. And then, it gets to the restaurant. Well, how did it get to the restaurant? Well, it came off a truck. Where did that truck come from? Probably from a warehouse. Okay, well, how did it get to the warehouse? And so if you just back it up, and so you tell people, okay, well, that warehouse, XYZ company, they sell restaurant equipment. And that's kind of how I've backed. And so then people will say they get it. I don't know if I explain it extremely well, but
I'm just I'm chuckling because I'm so fascinated by the supply chain, as you are as well. And explaining this to people that haven't seen behind the curtain before and they don't get it. It's so funny because it's when I explain that I have a psychic medium to some of my friends. Yeah. And I was I had this call with this psychic medium lady and she told me all of this. And a lot of my friends can't process it. And they're just yeah, so what time are the Cowboys playing tonight? And industrial real estate's kind of like that. And but it's so cool because once you get into it and then you start going to the grocery store and you're oh, look at that dent on that cereal box. Some forklift driver screwed that up and they might have gotten killed for all I know. But
so true.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I hope to expose my kids to lots of things. And I just encourage them to do whatever they want to do, really, but also keep an open mind. And I think it would have been cool my dad was very much you were going to do commercial real estate. You're born to do this.
Oh, really? Okay.
kind of like lined up internships for me. He's like, talk to my friend. He's got a job. Okay. Right out of college, I got a job like with the guy who leased his office building. And I didn't really want to work at all. I wanted to play in my band.
Sure.
So it's like, sure, I'll go do this to keep you happy until I don't need to do it. And then left for a few years, left the business and then got back into it. But it's a cool business. So kind of going back to that, what did you specialize in at Henry S. Miller, and did that carry through to like what you're doing today?
Yeah.
Have you always kind of been in the same lane?
Yeah. So yes and no. Predominantly at Henry S. Miller, and for the most part at Lee too, because that's kind of how we all grew up. You're thrown into a geographic area. And at the time, I chose Stemmons corridor. So I was predominantly north of Northwest Highway. So Harry Hines, Valwood, and then I trickled over into Addison. I trickled over to the airport, DFW airport.
Yeah.
All the way up to Louisville. And that's kind of been home base, if you will, for 25 years. But as you know, the longer that you get in this business, you're kind of like, I like tenant rep better, or I like landlord rep better, or I like corporate services, or you kind of start working on the deal because you have choices when you're in this business a little bit longer. You tend to go more towards, I want a tenant rep ABC company. Oh, well, they've got offices in New York and LA and Chicago. Okay, well, let me help you on your corporate services. So even though Stemmons corridor is definitely my home base, I've branched into a little bit of the corporate services. We do a lot of landlord leasing, tenant rep, a lot of user building sales, a couple of investment sales a year. And then I would say 25% of my business is office now.
Really?
Yeah. Friends, family, relationships I've cultivated over the years.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't lease any office buildings, but I do a fair amount of tenant representation on the office side. That's why I got to dress like this.
The suit comes in handy.
Yes.
Because you outdress every industrial broker, but in the office world, you still smash them. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. But yeah, I just, again, it goes back to now being in this business for 25 years. You've been in it for 20 years. You work with people you really like to work with.
Yeah.
And I know the office world. I know the industrial world. And so I'm like, yeah, you need some office space. Uptown, Preston Center, Legacy. I know those markets really well. I study them. So, if I can't be of service to somebody, then I'll bring another broker in, especially in another town. But here locally, I know the market really well, and so I've done more and more. It seems like more over the last couple of years, more office deals than I have in the first 15 years of my business.
That's cool. Did you do you have a young person that works for you? Have you built a team?
Yeah. So my little business family tree starting in 2000. Haynes Chatham worked for me for a couple of years.
That's right.
Then he went off to Stream. Hopefully one day he'll come back to his Lee family, but as of now, he's happy at Partners. I hired Stephen Williamson in Corbin Blunt in 2014. Stephen Williamson in 2015. Then we hired Alex Wilson in 2020. Jeremy Mojica we hired in 2022. And that's kind of my business family. Yeah. And it's not, we kind of have a criteria. And once you meet that criteria, you can kind of go do whatever you want. Now we still, of all those guys I mentioned, we still work on deals just because we want to, not because they have to bring me the deals. But that's kind of the Lee model is you bring someone in, you train them, you get compensated a little bit on the back end, and then they kind of grow up and, they become an associate to a director to a partner of the company after a certain time frame and threshold production wise. And then and that's why I like Lee, because everyone kind of works with everybody. I mean, I can say I've worked a deal with, we've got 35 brokers in our office now. I said, I bet I've worked a deal with 33 brokers in our office.
Yeah.
Various sizes,
that's
obviously,
cool.
But yeah.
Yeah. And then have you bought things over the years?
So
Is that a strategy?
It is. About, call it 15 years ago, I thought, okay, how does retirement look like in doing what we do? We make a lot of money, but our personalities, we also spend a lot of money. So what does this look like? So in 2011, we bought our first building, little $1 million investment deal, and we just kind of stumbled upon it. And we didn't think it was a great deal at the time. We just thought, okay, well, let's just get our feet wet. So
Who's we? You and Lee guys?
It was Reed Bassinger, Trey Fricky, and myself.
Okay.
And once you buy your first one, you kind of sit there and go, oh, I like this. I like this income. So we continue to buy buildings. It's delicate because we don't want to compete with our clients. And so our guns are aimed a little bit lower than the groups that we're working with as far as a price point. We're usually in the beginning years, we were $500,000 to $3 million. We're a little bit more than that now, but I probably own 18, 19 buildings.
Yeah. That's cool.
And fortunately, because of the brokerage, we don't really take the income. We just take what the cash flows, and then we'll look up and we'll say we've got X amount in the operating account. Why don't we just pay down the loan? So that's what we've done, and we've paid off quite a bit of them.
Yeah, just keep kind of building it up and painting them down.
Correct.
And holding.
Correct.
I like that.
So to go back, to what I was originally saying. So at retirement, my goal was to have enough income off these buildings by the time I'm 50 to where I did brokerage because I wanted to, not because I had to. And I would say I'm right on target.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's a good goal to have.
It's been fun, and and we're very simple. We half our tenants can't speak English, and that's fine. They're very good people, and we tell our tenants, if you ever have any issues, just pick up the phone and call. We have a lease, but 99.9% of the time, just pick up the phone and call. We'll figure it out. If you're going to be late, it's okay. We'll figure it out.
Easy to do business with.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think the tenants, we respect them. We have an open dialogue with almost all of them. I mean, some of them we never talk to because they just pay their rent and never have any issues. But I would say from a landlord standpoint, because we obviously broker and we see there's good landlords out there and not so good landlords out there. We don't need to be hard asses.
Yeah.
Businesses, sometimes they struggle, and we're there to, hey, it's okay. We understand. We'll work with you. So we've had a great, I'd say of our portfolio, we probably have 25, 30 tenants.
Yeah.
And we haven't had one tenant that's been an issue.
And do you have a management side at least?
That does that? We don't. We manage most of our buildings because most of them are just single tenant, one-off buildings. There's 2 or 3 buildings that have multiple tenants that we do third-party leasing.
Yeah.
A third-party management company handles those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So if you went back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
I would definitely say do not be so self-centered 100%. And I think a lot of kids, especially guys in high school and college, you're so self-centered. It's your world and nobody else's world. And I think over the years, especially going back to me, being around people, that's fine if we disagree politically or socially or whatever the case may be. Just understand me, I'll understand you, and we'll agree to disagree, but tell me where you're coming from. Whereas before I'd be like, well, you're just wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. So I like hearing people's backgrounds. I like hearing people's views. I might not agree with you, but I respect you. I wasn't that way until, I don't know, call it 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. Like humility, basically.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Jeff Mercer said the exact same thing yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah. He told a story of like his football coach told him like something about how he should be working on some part of his game. And at the time he was like number 1 ranked linebacker in the Southwest Conference, and he's just like, "You're wrong," because I just wish I had listened to like some advice.
Yes.
So very funny. Such good sound advice to give to your younger self.
100%.
And then what's the greatest obstacle that you've overcome?
Fortunately, growing up in a good Christian family, parents are still together. We ate dinner at the table 4 or 5 nights a week. From a life obstacle standpoint, I've been fortunate enough where I haven't had many to overcome. But I will say, boy, that first year in real estate, when you make $600 and you're grinding, that was a tough pill to. It was a tough pill to swallow and a tough hill to climb.
Do you feel like after that, you kept building pretty, like at a pretty good clip, or did you have any points where it fell apart?
No, after that, it's been all fine.
Yeah.
And like I said, you see these other people doing it. You know what you need to do as far as, okay, you make your calls, catalog your calls, make your tasks, do your callbacks. If you're doing all the right thing, it'll eventually fall into place.
Yeah.
And you have some BS to you. You can make it in this business, and you have to have grit. If you don't have grit in this business, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. I'm like, I can teach you real estate all day long. But until you get out there and just grind it and you have that grit to get after it and do it, if you don't have that, you're not going to be good at this business. You got to have the grit.
And just like get told no and just be patient and suffer through like indecision and with a smile.
Yeah. I would, to answer your question, I mean, the biggest obstacle is just getting over that first year, looking at yourself in the mirror going, do I have this? I think I do. I think I'm doing all the right things. I'm being told I'm doing the right things. And then boom, hitting a couple good deals and then kind of off to the races. So personally, I haven't had many obstacles, knock on wood. I'm not saying it's easy by any means. There's definitely been some struggles.
Yeah.
But I'd say from a business standpoint, it was, that first year that was an obstacle for sure.
Yeah, that's tough. What's your favorite? Oh, actually, I forgot this question yesterday too. But have you ever had a mystical experience?
I haven't. I'm not a real spiritual guy, mystical guy. No, I will say. So I'm a diehard snow skier. Diehard.
Yeah. Did you ski growing up?
I did. So my dad was really passionate about skiing. My mom and sister absolutely hated it.
Where'd y'all go? So
this past year was our 40th annual father-son ski trip. We've gone every year for 40 years. And so it started. So
your mom and sister would not go on these trips?
It was a father-son ski trip.
That's cool.
And the first year was just Dad and I. And then for the next 6 years, it was 2 of his fraternity brothers and their sons. And then when I got to high school, it was a couple of high school buddies and their dads. College, it was college buddies and their dads. And then right out of college, it was cousins and uncles, some random father-son duos, and then it was just Dad and I. And then probably the last 10 years, it's just been 4 people: my dad, myself, a good college buddy of mine, Adam Connerly, and then one of the original sons from the father-son ski trip that started off with us, a guy named Aaron Rigby. And we've gone for the last 10 years together. And it's, my dad's 75 and still bombs down the mountain.
And where do you go?
We've gone all over. We've gone all over North America, at least on the west side. We've gone to Canada, Whistler. And then since it was our 40th annual, we went over to Europe and we just skied Zermatt and Val d'Isère, France.
Was that your first time to go there?
It was. Skiing, yeah.
Yeah. Was that cool?
It's unbelievable.
Really? Was your favorite?
It's yes, just because it was so new and to put it in perspective, so Vail, which I would consider a big mountain, is 5,000 skiable acres. Zermatt is 78,000 acres. So it's 15 or 16 times the size of Vail.
That's mind blowing. It's just this like giant like
Huge.
city of like runs basically?
It's very long. It's a very long vertical run. So to put in perspective, an average run on a North American ski slope would be a half a mile to a mile at the longest.
Yeah.
There you're looking at 2 to 5 mile runs.
Wow.
And they have a 15-mile run if you start from the tip to the bottom.
How long does that take?
You know, we didn't do it because we just never made it down, but it'd probably take you 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. But Zermatt, it's a huge vertical. So the town of Zermatt is about 3,000 feet. The top of the mountain is about 12,500. So every morning you have to take a gondola / tram, and it takes 45 minutes to get to the top. You have to do that every day.
So you get to the top, and then you're kind of going to the shorter lifts once you're up there.
There's not a lot of short lifts, though. If you look at a map, I think there's more gondolas and trams than there are actual lifts.
Really?
Because the runs are so long.
So you'll just go ski down and then get back on the gondola and go back to the top.
But Zermatt, which
Do you notice like a weird like the altitude change, like being winded?
It's pretty dramatic.
Yeah,
It's pretty dramatic.
that's super cool.
Half of Zermatt Mountain is in Italy. So you get to the top, and we ski Italy most of the day. You go have a nice Italian lunch. So the lunches over there are more, the restaurants are more formal on the mountain. There's more of them. They're smaller. Some are big, but they're more formal. It's rare to have like a cafeteria style that you would have here in North America. It's more waiter, waitresses, sit down. Not necessarily white tablecloths, although some do.
What's the place in Deer Valley? Do you know what I'm talking about? Stein Eriksen.
Stein Eriksen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that kind of vibe.
Correct. That's probably a little bit more formal than most of them, but it's got that same vibe. Sit down, waiter, waitress.
Yeah.
But it's way less expensive. A lift ticket's $50 a day. Ski rentals are $50 a day. Lunch, like a nice pasta lunch, $15 to $16 on the mountain.
Really?
A decent bottle of wine, which would be, if you're having one at the Stein Eriksen, $150, $200 would be $40 there.
Wow.
It's just, everything's way cheaper.
that didn't pencil out when I'm thinking about this. So
If
that's
you-
pretty awesome.
if you
just got to
exclude-
deal with the flight.
If you exclude the
And
flight,
you got to fly first class if you're going over to
yes.
Europe. So
You do.
That's probably like, what, 10 G's for a flight or something?
it actually wasn't that bad. It's half the cost as a summer flight because the tourism is a lot less over the winter. So it's about 50%. So if you can fly over there with miles, or excluding the flight, we were over there.
And the hotels aren't bad either.
They're not bad.
Yeah. Did you stay at a hotel?
We stayed at a hotel.
I'm very intrigued, obviously.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
give you
this
my whole
sounds
itinerary. It's
so
great.
fun.
It really excites me. It's funny because we started at Val d'Isère, which is in France, and they're all about opera. It's a huge party scene. And you go there at 9 o'clock to the lifts, and it looks normal. And then as Americans, we get, lunch about 11:45 or noon. We get there like 11:45. This was a big restaurant. It was locked at 11:45. So I asked the lady, and I said, "Are y'all open today?" She said, "Oh, yeah, we open at noon." Okay, fine. So we go in, we sit down, we eat at noon. 500, 600 person restaurant. There's 20 people in there. 1 o'clock, pay the tab. We're like, "Hey, it's just not a busy day." She goes, "Y'all must be Americans." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, the French usually start coming in about 1:30 or 2, and then they have a big wet lunch, big lunch, from 2 to 4, and then they'll just ski down. That's kind of their culture. And then they'll have a huge opera at the base of the mountain." So and then you go to Zermatt, it's, obviously Switzerland, more German, they're more serious. So whereas the French are DJs and fireworks and burlesque shows, Zermatt's more saloons, more serious.
Yeah.
So it was totally two different cultures. It was just great. You got to see.
So cool.
But it was really neat to see, because as I said, I'm a diehard skier. Just the skiing over there, there's no trees. It's a lot of the mountains above tree line, but a lot of it's on a glacier. So there's no trees. So what they'll do is, if you can imagine just a big bowl, then
It's like Vail kind of vibe of like the back bowls
back
there.
bowls.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
and they'll just take a 50-foot wide and area and groom it down the middle.
That's just like always in a really good way, just like makes my stomach kind of drop, you know, and it just the vastness of that, how that feels. I can't imagine being there, like where that's the whole mountain.
The whole mountain.
Yeah.
And it goes, and so if you love long blue cruisers, that you can't beat it.
Yeah.
And they don't have a lot of moguls because it's so expansive. Because Val d'Isere, it was probably 25,000 acres, so it's about 5 times the size of Vail. So you're either on the groomer, or if you're off, it's just so big. Moguls are man-made with skiers, but there's not enough skiers that get off the groomed runs to make these moguls. So.
Will you ski moguls though?
I love moguls. The problem is my knees are about shot.
From skiing moguls?
From just skiing and hereditary. They're not. So I get them shot up every year before I go. And I didn't ski a lot of moguls this year for the reasons I just mentioned. And I'm like, wow, I can actually walk after a ski trip.
Yeah.
Maybe I should give the moguls up.
Yeah. Aging man. I quit drinking. Similar reasons.
Yeah.
Although I'm thinking if I go to Europe to go skiing, I might take a break from that.
Well,
my mouth's kind of watering thinking about the après ski that you just described.
It's a lot of fun.
It sounds really good. Okay. So that is the mystical experience.
Yes.
It sounds quite
mystical
fucking mystical.
Well, we did heli skiing a couple times. And so the mystical experience, what I could say would be my mystical experience would be skiing waist deep powder in the middle of nowhere and then doing it over and over and over and over in one day. It was like 7 runs, but yeah, heli skiing would probably be my mystical experience.
Yeah, that's cool. I think like just going to like France or Italy and like being in that atmosphere also sounds like a mystical experience.
It was.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so what's your favorite restaurant?
So it ties back to skiing again, but so one of my favorite mountains from a pure energy, dinners, bars, going out would definitely have to be Aspen.
Yeah.
And there's a restaurant on the top of Highlands Mountain. It's called Cloud 9, and it's a formal sit down meal for about 45 minutes, and then they have this DJ that plays music. He makes a drop, and then you spray champagne for the next hour, and it's awesome. You're in your ski clothes, or when we go every year with our Lee partner trip. We usually do some type of bit, whether it's superheroes or we did a mock wedding. And you're just sitting there and we're in costume spray.
The mock wedding, like one of your like teammates like would dress like they're getting married, and their wife would dress.
So we all wore tuxedos, tops. I was the pastor.
Okay.
Stephen Williamson was the fake groom, and then we bought like a wedding dress on Amazon for $50, and we found this girl that we said, "Hey, do you want to be a fake bride for the day? Come on up and join us for lunch." And so it was really funny because I told the DJ, "Hey, give me 30 seconds. I got to do a quick wedding." Half the restaurant thought it was the best bit of all time. The other half thought we were dead serious.
Yeah.
And then we posted on social media Stephen getting engaged or married, and people were blowing up going, "Did you just get married?" That was a pretty good bit.
That's really fun.
And so you're spraying champagne. It's a lot of fun, and then it starts at 1:30 and they end it at 3:45, and you got to get out, and then you ski down and you have a pretty good little buzz. You're drinking. They only serve beer, wine, and champagne.
Yeah.
And so you're skiing down with a good buzz with all your buddies and just laughing, and someone's gonna fall, and that to me is it's a magical moment.
I love just like food and drink on a mountain.
Yes,
it's just better. It just tastes better.
100%.
Yeah. That's great.
Local restaurants for me, just right quick, Muchachos for Mexican, Shinsei for sushi. Those are kind of my staples. R&D.
Solid. Are you a reader?
I don't read.
No.
I think the last book I've read, one in 15 years, was probably Boys Will Be Boys.
That's a great book.
The Cowboys.
Yeah.
You know, the first story starts with Michael Irvin stabbing his teammate with scissors in the neck.
I have a question on, those were the days. Weren't we spoiled to getting to go to high school
we were so good.
With those Cowboys? So good.
So great.
The great thing is that few teams will ever be better in ever in the history of the NFL. So we got to experience the best of the best while we're in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good time to experience
It was great.
So music wise, I forgot to ask, and I was curious about this. Do you build beats? Or as a DJ, because we didn't really get into that, but you started DJing, and I've heard you tell the story before, but you tell me a little, digging back into that. So you went and took the DJ class yourself, and then you started actually DJing events.
Correct. So I do it purely for fun. I'll do some friends events. I do some charity events. I'm actually DJing half the 17th hole at the Byron Nelson this year.
Oh, that's good. You don't charge?
No.
Charge? Yeah.
No, it's just because if I charge...
Yeah, it's a charity event anyway.
Well, if I charge and they don't like it, then they can yell at me. If I'm free, I can say, hey, you're not paying me, pal.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. Now,
DJs can make some serious money.
Well, they can, but there's a little. It's just kind of like anything. It's 0.1% make 99% of all the money, and you got to produce music to make it. And if you're not producing the music, you're not making money. You're just mixing music.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was getting to. So have you learned these production skills to go build a beat?
Yes.
If I send you one of my songs that's acoustic, me playing guitar, can you go build beats around that? Is that something that you work to do?
Would I want to do it? No. It's all computerized.
Yeah.
It's very digital. It's very analytical. And I did it just to see what it took me 2 hours to do a 5-minute segment. It wasn't that good, but I could do it. I just wanted to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I just enjoy playing the music. I don't enjoy building the music.
Yeah.
So what I have done is SoundCloud is where I get all my music. And there's professionals that spend hours crafting a song that would take me weeks and probably not sound near as good as theirs. So why don't I just take that song and put it in my genre?
So you take their remixes.
I take their remixes.
Yeah.
And then I'll blend, usually a 2-hour session is about anywhere from 80 to 100 songs.
Yeah.
Because you're blending them, transitioning.
And then you can just blend in cool things, like somebody talking hey, oh my God, I'm here on the mountaintop. Maybe I'm going to get fucked up.
Yeah.
And then just pull all that
Make
in.
the drop.
I love that. That's exciting. That's cool to be able to do that. And I have a friend, Jason Burt, who's produced my last album, and he builds beats.
Okay.
And watching him build beats, that is mind-blowing to me.
It's crazy.
People can rip a guitar, and that's always going to be cool to me. But watching that, it's this instrument that I've never seen before. And how in the world did you just do that and create this really cool beat out of nowhere? And it just seems like magic.
Yeah, I don't have those skills.
Yeah.
And it just, that to me is too analytical.
But you do have the skills to go build the drops and create
correct
this
the
flow
transitions
of the
correct.
Music, and so make it all chill and then build it up and then make it go crazy and then super crazy and then chill it back down.
Correct.
And do all that.
Correct.
That's cool.
But what it really comes down to, and what I've noticed, I can do the coolest transitions, the coolest drops. What I think is extremely technical stuff. If I'm not playing the music that you and your friends don't like, they don't give a damn of what I'm doing.
They just want to hear their songs.
They want to hear their songs of what they like to hear. So you can be a really crappy DJ as far as the technical piece of it, but if you can read the room of what they want to hear, they're going to think you're awesome. And that's what I've learned over the years. They don't care about all these twists and turns, and because a lot of times DJs get over their skis and they do too much stuff, and people are like, I just want to hear the song that I like and know and dance with my friends. That's all.
Yeah. I was never like a super big into going to the Vegas clubs, probably more so later in life than when I was in my 20s, because I was like, I lacked humility, and I was like, I go to honky tonk bars, and this shit's for fucking douchebags to come to the Vegas clubs. Like that was, and I'd go to bachelor parties with my college friends, and I would just be scowling the whole time. And now I actually do appreciate the art form of DJing. So I like to go and watch them, but I did notice like they all like play like Jesse's Girl, you know, and like they play these, you know, these like classic rock songs, like these supposedly like cool young DJs are playing 80s music like Journey and all of these, and they all play the same kind of playlist at those mega clubs in Vegas.
And it's not just Vegas. When we were over in Val d'Isère, France, they played those same songs in France.
Which are like, what are the top 10? Do you think, like, if the DJ set like the
the ABBA music, the Jesse's Girl, Journey, Weezer. I mean, you all these songs that you're like, dude, yes, and they add a little DJ spin to them. And what I thought was so amusing, yes, you'll see that in the United States, 100%. But to go to France, and these people can't even speak English, but they can sing these songs verbatim in English. That's what I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, but the reason why all those DJs do it is because that's what people like to hear.
Yeah.
If they played their stuff, what they thought was cool, nobody would be on the dance floor.
Yeah. And I do appreciate like the little flavor that they each put on those songs too.
Yes.
And like how then they'll like randomly mix it in with something in a cool way. Like bring Jay-Z into Blink-182 and then back to Weezer and then to Ice Cube and like this weird thing that makes sense. And it's like it all makes sense to me. So I'm sure it's like the zeitgeist or something like this makes sense to everybody and they get it.
Yes.
That's why they're at Excess in Vegas, like doing this because they like understand that.
Correct.
Yeah. Cool. Favorite quote?
I don't really have a favorite quote. A quote that I've said to my wife all the time, because I'm a planner, but she's like a big, big planner. If you wait till the last minute, it only takes a minute.
I like that. That's really good. Very good.
No, you might not be prepared, but you're only wasting a minute.
Till the last minute. It only takes a minute. Amazing. Any charities?
Yeah, so I am part of the salesmanship club that raises money for Momentous Institute, which is a school down in Oak Cliff for underprivileged children to give them a good education in elementary school to kind of get them prepared for middle school and high school. Got involved with that in 2018 and pretty passionate about that.
Yeah. And that's they put on the Byron still?
They put on the Byron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you got the DJing gig.
I kind of worked an event, which is the Champions Club. And then it started off as like my phone a couple years ago. And then I got into DJing and I was like, well, I can hook up my DJ equipment to this equipment. And then it just kind of evolved bigger and bigger and bigger. And now they're saying, okay, well, you're not just some random dude. We'll put you in a strategic place. So it's interesting. The PGA is really wanting a good party vibe at all their events, not just the Byron Nelson.
Like waste management style.
Correct.
Like they're wanting more of that atmosphere.
That's what sells tickets.
Of course.
But then there's also the fine line of there is golf.
Yeah.
And even though people are partying their asses off and want to be loud and they want DJs and they want, live music, there is golf going on. And the players, they do like waste management, but they there's only a couple tournaments and then they're like, hey, look, that's too much. Like, come on, we're here to play golf. You got to be a little quiet. So they're at our tournament, the Byron Nelson, every year, we're kind of seeing what works, what doesn't work. Because they want a live, cool party atmosphere, but they don't want it going over the edge to where players are like, this is complete nonsense. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens this year.
Yeah. You're the vibe.
Yeah, come on out.
You're the king of the vibe.
Well, we'll see.
I want to come out.
We'll get you tickets. We'll get you out there.
That sounds great, dude. Well, I think that's about all I've got today. So thanks for dropping by.
That was awesome. Thanks for having me on. Really enjoyed it. Really
awesome.
enjoyed catching up with you.
Yeah, man. Well, that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for trucking on. Talk to you later.